Hello, MJ Klemenko here. Tonight I'd like to talk a bit about something that you can control. In a crazy world where there's many things we can't control, this is an issue that I see in my office every week. And it is that there are people who are depressed and anxious. Not all. There are various reasons for depression and anxiety, but a significant amount of people who are depressed and anxious are depressed and anxious because they're too concerned about what other people think. They're trying very hard to make sure that they don't make other people mad, that they don't offend anybody. Um, these are typically people who don't think very much of themselves, even though that's not a conscious thought. But I know that they don't think very much of themselves because they're willing to give up everything about themselves in order not to make somebody else mad or to please them. I know that when some children are growing up, they're told, what will the neighbors think? Maybe not so much anymore. But I also know that what is pretty prevalent these days is helicopter moms are very concerned about what other people think. And even though they may not say that to their child, children are very smart and they pick up on things quite quickly. So if you, let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say you're a married woman and you have uh, constant stomach aches and you feel empty and you feel anxious and you know that you shouldn't have 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night by your own choice, but you say that it's the only thing that can calm you down. I'm not going to argue with you about what you feel is best for you, but I do, after some exploration with you, in my example, discover that you try very hard to please your husband. You try so hard to please your husband that you don't even know what you want. Um, let's say your husband wants to spend the whole weekend watching sports, and that's fine. But let's say you would like to spend some quality time with your husband, and you don't give yourself permission to even ask because you want your husband to love you and to never fall out of love with you. Now, that's all fine and good, but if you don't ask for what you want, first of all, you'll never get it. And second of all, you will repress that desire. It's called stuffing it. Most of you have heard that expression. And that can cause depression and anxiety. And it comes up in not right at that moment. It comes up in ways that a cause is non-identifiable or not readily identifiable. You want your women friends to think you're terrific. And not because you think you're terrific, but just because it seems really important to you. You value them so much that when your girlfriend decides that what you really need to do on Saturday is spend the whole day at the mall, and what you really were hoping to do was take a little hike, you don't say anything. You go to the mall, and you have a good enough time, but you don't have a terrific time, and you never get to the hike. And even though you do things for other people and do what you think they want you to do, you still don't have confidence that people really like you, that people really respect you, that your husband loves you for exactly who you are. And it's okay to have a voice. You don't have to be a yes ma'am person in order to be loved. You were born lovable. And unless you develop some really disgusting habits, which is highly unlikely, because that's very rare. You just don't know how lovable you are. And so you suffer. And you have this random or even constant depression and anxiety, but you have no idea where it's coming from. You also have no idea who you are because you've spent a good portion of your adult life trying to be who other people want you to be or who you think other people want you to be. And that may not be true. Who you think other people want you to be might not be who they would hope you to be at all. There's a very simple thing to remember if you find yourself being at all worried about what other people think. You're not that important. Nobody's that important. Everybody is starring in their own drama. And people who ask for what they want may or may not get it, but at least they express themselves. And they can even argue for what they want in a reasonable way using a fair fight because they deserve to get what they want sometimes. And if you think about it, if you're so worried about what other people think, your neighbors, your child's teacher, your husband's friends, your girlfriends, you're spending a lot of energy putting yourself right in the middle of their existence. And you're just not that important. They're thinking about all kinds of things besides you. And that's important to remember. That's very important to remember. It isn't that they don't like you. It isn't even that they wouldn't do what you wanted to do or they wouldn't love you for exactly who you are. They think you are who you present yourself to be, but you're not. One of the ways to get to your true self and who you really are is, first of all, understand that everybody's not going to like you. And everybody's not going to approve of you, no matter how hard you try. And secondly, you should have a hobby. Every person should have something they do besides work. And it should be something you really enjoy and that you do by yourself. It can be photography, it can be painting, it can be stamp collecting, it can be anything. As long as it's something you do that you really enjoy and you take time every week, at least every week, to do it. And you don't let yourself get up or stop until you have done that for at least an hour every week. You will find yourself feeling more confident, more assured. You will feel yourself less empty, more whole. Because through doing something that you really like and letting everybody else do whatever they do, you find yourself. You come home to yourself. You begin to know who you are. And that's very important. Much more important than believing that you're so important. Everybody is talking about you behind your back. I guarantee you, they're not. Good night.